So today we're here to talk about pure blood or unvaccinated blood. And there's a number of examples we're going to look at of people, the people in the community, people not just in America but around the world, looking for unvaccinated blood for transfusions.
That's right, Brendan. We're talking about that, and we're talking about something else too. People are rightly concerned, and the contempt directed at them by the media and by the expert class are evidence of what you and I are going to be talking about today. What we're going to be giving viewers today is the anatomy of a media cover-up. So let's get right to the details.
I'm Brendon Fallon.
And I'm Lee Smith.
And we're over the target. One example of this growing apparent need for or desire for unvaccinated blood is legislation proposed by a Montana Republican lawmaker earlier in the year. And this would have required it that anyone donating blood not have had an mRNA or DNA vaccine. Another example, if we look a little globally, this goes to New Zealand, where a baby was actually taken off its parents because it required necessary surgery and they wanted the blood used to be unvaccinated blood. So this baby was taken out of its parents' care for the period of the surgery.
Well, Brendan, we're seeing evidence of this all around the world. There was evidence, I believe, there were reports of a Swiss doctor who understood the demand for this and saw it as a business opportunity to be able to supply unvaccinated blood to people who needed blood. So it's not just, it's the United States, it's New Zealand, we're talking about Switzerland. Also, we've seen stories coming in from Israel and other places around the world. So what we're looking at here is a concern that is shared by many, many millions of people around the world. In particular, we can imagine those people who said, who declined the shot.
At the present, there actually is no requirement for blood collection agencies to ask that question of blood donors. Have you had the vaccination? Which vaccination have you had? So that option isn't available for people in the US and Canada to choose unvaccinated blood. One of the points to note in the examples of the legislation that was proposed in Montana, also the child who was taken off its parents, the media slant on this has been quite negative, quite critical of these individuals. This is a bizarre request. It's silly to want, why would you want unvaccinated blood? Is this a legitimate demand? Is this a legitimate request, do you think, Lee, for unvaccinated blood?
Sure, Brendan, absolutely. I mean, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at the media on one hand, playing with the narrative that they've been pushing since the advent of COVID-19 around January 2020 here in the United States. The media they've been pushing since then, but also on the other hand, you have this huge amount of data that's coming in from around the world, right? Lots of information coming in from around the world, not just about the inefficacy of the vaccines, but how they're also dangerous, right? So this is not simply a matter of people being stubborn, right, as they were often dismissed over the last couple of years. There's actually people who are looking closely at numbers, and they're looking at evidence, and they're seeing what's happened. Brendan, maybe we should go back to the beginning here, just so we have everyone in mind what we've seen the last few years and why this really is so important.
Yeah, I think in the context of everything that's happened over the past 2-3 years, it doesn't strike me as unreasonable that people would be concerned about what's in the blood that they get when they go for a blood transfusion. Reading an article from the National Post, this was reporting on the child that was taken off its parents in New Zealand. The kind of language bias that is used is very interesting. They talk about these concerns about spike proteins in inverted commas, about contaminants in blood in inverted commas, like these aren't real things. And at the end of this article, there's a link to a fact checker article where you supposedly go to find the real information about blood transfusions. And interestingly, this starts out by saying a blood transfusion from a vaccinated person doesn't transfer the inoculation to an unvaccinated person. But I think they might be missing the point, because people aren't worried about accidentally getting inoculated. They're worried about potentially dying from myocarditis or whatever else they might get from taking this blood. And these are the kind of concerns that are being bypassed by the media.
Right, that's preposterous The idea that people are scared of the inoculation, of being protected against the disease, that's not the issue. We not only have studies showing that the mRNA vaccines fail to provide robust defense, but logic shows us, we've talked about this before, look, if they provided the kind of defense that was advertised at the very beginning, anywhere from 95 to 99% protection, there would have been no need for boosters, right? So with the expert class, it continually comes back to, why are these dumb people scared of being inoculated against the disease? That was never the issue. And you're absolutely right, Brendan. What people are worried about is blood, about tainted blood. Before people give blood, they're screened for all sorts of things, whether in some cases sexually transmitted diseases, syphilis, whether diseases like hepatitis. I believe West Nile virus is another thing that people are screened for. So of course, what people are worried about is what that blood is bringing along. It's not about inoculated blood. Right? Lots of places around the country, people make money donating blood. I believe it's up to $500 or something like that now. Presumably, this would be the kind of thing that that drug addicts would want to do, to make $500 to go off and buy more drugs. But guess what they're screening for? They don't want drug addicts coming in and donating blood, right? Because it's at that point, it's bad blood. This is the logical thing that people are concerned about right now.
Interesting you should make that point, Lee, because it makes you question what are the motives at play here. Why disavow the concern about having vaccinated blood? Too often there is a money motive there. You have to imagine what are the consequences for those that have a stake in this, aspects of the medical industry. If it's found that vaccinated blood is dangerous, would we see a black market for unvaccinated blood? What happens when people across the country who are scheduled for surgery decide to delay their surgery or cancel their surgery because they want unvaccinated blood?
Yeah, those are very interesting and very important questions. What happens to different hospitals around the country? Right, what would happen if the Red Cross, we do know that the Red Cross, I believe, is now asking blood donors to specify what vaccine, if they were vaccinated against COVID-19, what vaccine they took, whether this was Johnson & Johnson, whether it was Moderna, whether it was Pfizer, or the others that are mostly distributed in Europe. Right, so we know that they're starting to keep counts on that. But what would happen, you're right, if they said, yeah, sorry, we're not going to take vaccinated blood anymore? That wouldn't only cause havoc in hospitals, right? It would also cause big problems, I believe, for the federal bureaucracy as well as pharmaceutical manufacturers. What would happen if medical professionals said, yeah, we have the numbers and we acknowledge the numbers now, and we know that some of these vaccines are actually very dangerous. We certainly don't want blood going from one person to another. We need to limit the damage that was created by vaccinating people with this huge mass vaccination schedule in the wake of COVID-19.
So I think absolutely, Lee, there's plenty of people who have a financial stake in surgery going ahead that would experience significant fallout if those surgeries were stalled. This is a situation that happens in the context of 2 to 3 years of media misinformation saying that there is no danger in these vaccines. How do they have the audacity or the arrogance to label people who have concerns again to be malcontents or purveyors of misinformation? Interestingly, this occurs in a context where rights over the body, the right to choose what you do or what happens with your body, is a hotly contested topic. But this is a situation where a child is taken off its parents because the state decides that it's going to have a procedure with vaccinated blood.
Well, I mean, it's not just the continuation of the misinformation or disinformation campaign promoting and defending these vaccines, right, and eliminating any questions. We've all seen the Twitter files at this point, and we understand how the federal government intervened with big tech and the press to conceal important information, just conceal questions, right? Stop people from asking important questions about this vaccine schedule, the vaccine rollout. But what we now have is what they were not able to prevent is they were not able to prevent publication of important studies that we've now seen coming in from around the world.
If you're watching this episode on social media, you might not be getting the full picture of what Lee and I would like to talk about as terms of the pure vaccinated blood. So you can find the full episode on Epoch TV, where you can leave your comments and let us know what you think.
Watch the whole episode on Epoch TV exclusively, where you'll find not only Over the Target, but all your favorite Epoch TV shows. See you there.